And he believes, yes, we should get involved in Israel's drama. And the reason that he believes that, by the way, is Tucker Carlson has been lobbied by AIPAC. I mean, sorry, not Tucker Carlson. Ted Cruz accepts money from the AIPAC lobby, like many of our politicians do. And he accepts a lot of money. He has accepted almost $2 million from AIPAC, despite the fact that his salary as a senator is about $170,000 annually. He also, on top of that, accepts money from lobbyists. That's the reason why they don't want to leave DC, because they're making a lot of money via various lobbies. And so he has accepted almost $2 million from the American Israel PAC. And I believe that that's potentially what's guiding his decision. And I'm assuming that Tucker Carlson does as well, because it's clearly he's not being motivated by an idea that he thinks we can win. He doesn't say that. He would have to reasonably go, okay, and not only that, but the population is 90 million. Here's what we've got. He hasn't done any of those assessments. He just knows that we have to defend Israel. And yeah, you should absolutely have a ballpark estimation of the population size, right? If I say let's go to war with China, I know China's got like 1.7 billion people. And I'm going to run and go, maybe we shouldn't go to war with China because that's a lot of people. He doesn't know the answer to that. So that's problematic. And so when they're getting into this discussion, you have to wonder what is motivating it, aside from if he's going to represent that it's something more than just his AIPAC dollars, which he's pretending that he just believes that we should be involved. And this is when he gets to explaining that he believes there is a theological basis for us to be married to Israel's foreign policy. Take a listen.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of, it says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my. You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in Genesis. But so you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it. And you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But what, hold on, define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
And so is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the descendants
God's
of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is.
And I'm really happy he said that, because when you hear it, you realize how ridiculous it sounds. Even if you're not following the theology, if you don't identify as a Christian, you realize that you have a senator that is sitting across saying that his number one reason, he didn't say one of the reasons, he said my number one reason that I support Israel is because the Bible commands me to do so. And just so you know, the Bible does not command, and this is what Tucker Carlson is getting to in that clip, it absolutely does not command you to support the modern state of Israel. Like Genesis is pointing to the modern 1948 created state of Israel, and you must support it, despite the fact that it is very much involved in what can only be described as demonic behavior since its creation, right? And so you're going to ignore every other biblical passage. You're going to misinterpret this one. It's a dispensationalist heresy, which was factually funded by the World Zionist Congress. And we can do another episode on that as I present to you guys all of the evidence that what it guided the notations. This really stems from the Schofield Bible, the heresy of the Schofield Bible. Schofield himself was an absolute fraud who got funded and was overseas and alleges that he wrote all of these notes in the Bible and is telling people how to read their Bibles. The first time annotations were put underneath the passages. So this is what Genesis says, and this is what it means. And this is how this heresy arrived in America. Then somehow this guy is able to, becomes the most printed book, and Oxford Press gets behind it because like a random pastor, you get the idea here. It was very much a funded effort to have Christians misunderstand the Bible. And Ted Cruz is one of these Christians. And so he says this is number one reason that he supports what they're doing. So he is willing to support the criminality of Benjamin Netanyahu because he's just in the land of Israel. That's he's saying it's the nation state of Israel. By that argument, if suddenly the current Israelis in Israel all left and we put in a bunch of Iranians, then he would say the same thing because it's a place, right? So Ted Cruz would say, my Bible commands me, I will be blessed if I bless those who bless Israel. He's talking about a place, a physical place, and anybody could be in there and he would back it. It's an absolute nonsense for him to suggest this. And like I said, it's also a theological disaster. And it's so important for people to learn the history, the true history of the Schofield Bible and this sort of modern dispensationalist belief, which has been so toxic to our foreign policy and has been pushed in large part. It's even the hyphening of Judeo-Christian values. I'm a Christian. I'm not Jewish. I am a Christian. My values are Christian. And frankly, you should believe that a country which has involved itself, as Israel has, in blackmail, in murder, in bombing children, in murdering and starving women and children to get what it wants, the deception. And I mean, you could talk about it on a widespread level. You could talk about it on a historical level. You could talk about it on a molecular or a personal level. It is like a requirement to support Zionism. You just have to lie. You have to lie like all the time. We just have to accept that whatever they do, no matter how toxic and horrible and demonic it is, it's perfectly acceptable because God is going to bless you if you bless this land. Yeah, God wanted you to leave us with a 1948 real estate problem. It's completely ridiculous for them to be making this argument. And so when you see them go at it, and there's more clips that are coming out, and do you have, there's also one more clip, you know that eventually Ted Cruz, and I did not even see this until a couple of minutes ago, you know eventually Ted Cruz is just going to go where the Zionists go, which is, okay, I don't have an argument anymore, but now I have to imply that you're anti-Semitic if you don't support Bibi Netanyahu. Yeah, they're doing all the tricks, and there actually is this former Israeli minister. I think her name is Shalamut, and she's on camera saying that this is a trick that we use. Like if all else fails, if anybody questions Israel, we just call them anti-Semitic. And so this is like right from the handbook, with the Zionist handbook, which is like if something we do is so indefensible, say that people noticing is obsession and that it's because they hate Jews. It's the oldest hatred in the book. You just hate Jews. It's like, no, you are taking billions of dollars from us every year and you're demanding that we get involved in your Middle Eastern conflict. Of course, we have a right to talk about Israel. And like I said, you will see this over and over again. And when people decide, I'm actually not offended by that because I know it's not true. And I know that it's basically a really poor debate tactic. It's just an ad hominem attack. And they seek to become more educated about the state of Israel. The more that you discover, the more indefensible it becomes. Case in point, I'll give you something that happened in the past. You guys remember when Kyrie Irving, they went out and tried to cancel this man, cancel his entire basketball career because he shared a link. Absent any commentary, he went into Twitter and he tweeted out an Amazon link to a documentary. Now, if the reaction that he got, if nobody reacted, I don't even think anyone would have seen the tweet. Honestly, it was so absurd. And it was a tweet to a documentary that was entitled "From Hebrews to Negroes." And they just said, oh my gosh, he has to go through steps to be allowed back in the NBA. Skylar, actually, could you pull up what the steps were that they wanted Kyrie Irving? I should have had you pull this up before the show, but like they wanted Kyrie Irving to go through 6 steps. And of course, the ADL was involved. They wanted to make him like donate money to the ADL, go spend time in Brooklyn with Jewish people, because he shared a documentary link, which, if you want to think, okay, if you're making the argument that we are the original Jews of this land and you're not producing any evidence to that effect, any person has a right to say, I agree with that, I don't agree with that, and you should just be able to debate it. And they were going to cancel Kyrie Irving's entire life. Let me know when you have that, Skylar. Okay, here we go. Sources. The Nets have delivered Kyrie Irving 6 items he must complete to return to the team. He must apologize and condemn the movie. He must make a $500,000 donation to anti-hate causes. He must go through sensitivity training, anti-Semitic training, meet with the ADL and Jewish leaders, and then meet with Joe Tsai to demonstrate understanding. All he did was share a link to a documentary. I kid you not. And so here's what's really crazy, because I had to basically, when I was similarly being canceled for saying Christ is king and for me not agreeing with what's going on in Gaza, I got really educated about topics. And I was shook by the fact that they are canceling Kyrie Irving, Israel is, for information that actually came from Israel itself, or what was Israel, what was before Israel. It was really just Palestine before Israel became a nation. Look up Abraham Pollock. This is incredible. By the way, the thesis of that documentary is that these are not even the original Jews, that actually these are Khazars from a Turkic community. So there's this like Khazarian conspiracy theory, and they call this an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. I want to be clear to suggest that the people that are occupying Israel today are Khazarian Jews, are the Khazarians are from like the kingdom of Khazaria, is an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. But now watch this. Skylar, pull up Abraham Pollock. And this is what I mean. It's the tricks that they play. Where did this anti-Semitic conspiracy theory come from? It came from them. It came from somebody who said, I want to figure out who the Ashkenazis are. And he was more than qualified to do it as an anthropologist. And he was living, Abraham Pollock, here we go. Abraham Nahum Pollock was an Israeli historian, a professor at Tel Aviv University, since its inception, professor of medieval history and founder of the Department of Middle Eastern History. His main areas of research were Jewish history, Arab history, nations of Islam and Africa, and the history of the Khazars. Now scroll down, and again, I am doing this all live, so it might take a second here, but essentially he publishes a book and says, aha, I've done it, my research is over. Actually, we are the Khazarians, and we are from a Turkic tribe. And they had these Turkic tribes, the Ishkenaz, the Ashkenaz, and that's who we actually are. I want to be clear. This book was published, the book called Khazaria, History of a Jewish Kingdom in Europe, and he states that the Khazars were the demographic foundation of the Jews who inhabited Eastern Europe, and this was such groundbreaking stuff that he did. Look at this. This is 1941. He says they then mass converted to Judaism. He was awarded. Tel Aviv University awarded him, thank you for doing this research. Again, this is before the modern state of Israel. And then, guess what? He also, you can see there, he served in the IDF. So we're not going to call him anti-Semitic, are we? He served in the IDF through the formation of the state of Israel. So this guy gets awards from Tel Aviv University, and now he's serving in the IDF when they just kick out a bunch of Palestinians. And after they do this, they say, stop publishing his book because it doesn't help what we are trying to do. That's on the Wikipedia page. I want this to be shown that this is on the Wikipedia page. The rabbi said we should stop publishing this book because it doesn't help our argument that we're now making that we are the original Jews. This is on this Wikipedia page. Okay. So Kyrie Irving, in theory, could have just read this book, which was published by someone who received awards for the research that he did, tracing the Ashkenazis back to this kingdom of the Khazars. And then they never removed his awards. They never called him an anti-Semite. They never said, well, we've debunked his scientific activity. In fact, the rabbis said, this is not helpful for us to say this, that we are Khazars, now that we have established the modern state of Israel. That's on this Wikipedia somewhere. You can scroll down. We should probably find it, saying that it was not helpful, I think was the exact terms. So when I saw this, I was just like, the actual audacity to attack Kyrie Irving, to give him 6 steps, to say that he's an anti-Semite for something that you know that your own historians published as fact and received awards for before the creation of the state of Israel, before you pulled this book, is asinine. It is absolutely asinine. And the more you will find little things like that, where the things that we are being called anti-Semites for, essentially, it's if you know anything about the history of the modern state of Israel, like if you learn about Bella Hadid's family and how they got the land and stuff, that is when they attack you the hardest. When there is a truth there is when they attack you the hardest. And there are tons of books. I've read more books like that came from former IDF soldiers and people that lived in Israel. And there are tons of historians who have written books to that effect. But I just wanted you to know, like, that is a level of gaslighting that they take part in now. like, oh, the science, I guess it's like COVID, the science changed, the anthropologist was wrong. He never got his award revoked, but like, okay, whatever. Here it is in the Wikipedia page. Thank you guys for finding this. It reads, nonetheless, the same assumptions which Pollack presented in his book were the target of criticism in various circles because of their possible ramifications on the right of Jews to settle in Israel. As early as 1944, the Jewish historian Aaron Zeev asserted, quote, I do not know what enjoyment and dignity he finds in our Turkish Mongolian descent rather than our Jewish ancestry. And so they just shut it down. They were like, this is not okay. And they stopped publishing this book. So I just wanted to do a very late defense of Kyrie Irving because, like I said, the more you look into things, it's the lies, it's the deception, it's the audacity to try to ruin the lives of others when they discover something that is patently true, or at least you accept it as being a patent truth. If you've changed your history and decided that this is no longer relevant and that Abraham Pollack is a raging anti-Semite, fine. But you better hang him before you hang Kyrie Irving is all I'm saying, because I'm getting a little bit tired about that.